Edmund, thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here and to discuss this.
Thanks, Josh. Great to be here.
Of course. And first off, I do want to get your overall reaction to that statement. That was actually just a portion of the lengthy statement that was put out, providing that ultimatum to Hamas. So what do you make of it? What should we take from that?
Well, I think that the tone of it is pretty impatient, and it suggests that the president is losing patience with Hamas, very specifically with Hamas. And I guess what he's looking to do here is to administer a shock to the system. He's hoping that the ultimatum will both motivate Hamas to accept the terms that has been set out in the 20-point plan, but also to get intermediaries like Qatar and Turkey and Egypt to redouble their efforts to bring Hamas on board.
And as we continue to watch all of this and just see how it does play out over the next several days, I mean, we're talking about a deadline that's about 48 hours away at this point. What does the Post indicate about the current U.S. policy toward Israel in this conflict? Because we know that not every country tends to see eye to eye right now, especially European countries with Israel. So what does it say about maybe the relationship there between the U.S. and Israel?
It certainly shows the very close relationship between the US and Israel. The US has long been Israel's best ally and has stood by Israel in the face of a lot of international pressure in the past. So I think that there are a number of things that have gone into this particular statement. I think the president will have been aware of some of the commentary on the executive order guaranteeing the security of Qatar. And there may be an element of just correcting any commentary or any misconception that Israel is not still the United States' main ally in the region.
What are the realistic prospects, so to speak, for securing the hostage releases through something like this public ultimatum? Again, he says every country has signed on. Hamas has to reach this deal by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Well, I think it's worth a try to do this by ultimatum. It's obviously a strategy that may not work. It's, as far as we know, Hamas is leaning towards rejecting the 20-point plan. And the question is, will this change that? I think that's the president's calculation. What he thinks is that Hamas will think twice about rejecting the plan if they know that Israel then has explicit backing to follow up with maximum force in Gaza City afterwards. So I think it's a worthwhile effort to bring Hamas to their senses, but of course it's not guaranteed to succeed.
Well, not guaranteed, but also when you talk about Hamas, we are talking about a terrorist organization here. So is it possible that they see this ultimatum and they decide they want to escalate the situation instead and go the opposite direction?
Yeah, they would want to do that if they could. And of course, any terrorist organization doesn't like to seem to give in to this kind of pressure because it makes them look weak and it makes them look as if they're not as committed to their mission as they always claim to be. So if they could escalate, yes, I think they would, but they are so stretched. They're under so much military pressure from the Israelis, and they're under so much political pressure now also from countries that were previously on their side. So I don't think they have many options for escalation.
If this deadline, 6 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, again, about 48 hours away, if it does not get reached there, you don't see Hamas say, yes, we'll give in here. What happens next? What are the next steps? What does the U.S. do, and what does Israel do?
Well, I think the first next step, one assumes, if we get to Sunday night and nothing has happened, or if Hamas explicitly rejects the proposal, then I think we would expect to see the Israelis increase the tempo of their military operations in and around Gaza City. And that would obviously lead to a lot of international unease. But some countries, like Turkey and Qatar, which would normally have been very critical of the Israelis, they will find it quite difficult to say that Israel is doing the wrong thing because they've signed up to President Trump's plan, and it's Hamas that has rejected the plan.
All right. Edmund, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and helping to discuss this. We do have, again, about 2 days here, so we'll see how that plays out. Anything we missed? Anything you want to make sure to add here before I let you go?
Well, a word about the hostages, because this is the most emotive issue, certainly in Israel. People in Israel are very anxious to see the hostages released. And I think that, what President Trump has done is that he's given a chance of that at no risk because, effectively there's a deadline, and if that deadline expires unsuccessfully, I don't think anything has been lost. The difficulty that follows then, of course, is that in the fighting, if the Israelis do, as I predict, and intensify their military operations in Gaza City, and we believe that Hamas have moved the hostages into positions where they're likely to be collateral damage of fighting, then obviously we have the risk that we will lose the lives of some more of the hostages.
All right. Edmund Fitton-Brown there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you again for your time and helping to break this down. We will see how it plays out in the coming hours and days. Thank you again.
Most welcome.